A pleasant Saturday to everyone. I hope you are having a fabulous day so far, whether it's morning, night, afternoon, wherever you are. The big men, they have arrived. The wait is over. The men showed up this morning. I got up really early to see it, to watch the 100-meter heats. And I'm thanking you all for coming on so we can do a quick reaction, make sure we get a sense of our thoughts on what we saw and, break down a few races, any storylines that are emerging. Can we take anything from what we saw this morning? And obviously, we can also touch on some of the other events that was happening. We qualifications in the men's pole vault. There were repechage rounds for the women's 800 meters, and also a bunch of events in the men's decathlon. So I'm up for that as well. But are you excited? I mean, have you been following? Did you get a chance to see all the races? Did you get up early? I did. Set my alarm, make sure I was up. So I felt like I'm already sleep deprived. Uh, Morning, I see some comments coming in here. Someone says Noah Lyles. What about Noah? We'll talk about Noah in a second as well. And yeah, but the wait is over. We saw the big men. They came out, and the world has been waiting. Most people have been waiting for one particular gentleman. I mean, obviously, there's a buzz about Noah Lyles, but everyone was waiting to see the big Jamaican Kishane Thompson, what will how he would react. There's all these narratives going on. It's first Olympics, first major games, and he was looking around. He looks good. He had to wait a little bit. Obviously, he was in that first heat, so we got to see him right away. Unfortunately, there was a false start there from Azu from Team GB, and not only that, the kid Azul Jeremiah took a bit of a time before he exited the track. And whenever you have things like that, athletes sometimes they have to refocus, block that out. There's a bit of a delay oftentimes when you think about who gets to how quickly you can start, and you just want to jog it out, walk around, and eventually he left the track and the race went off, and Kishane Thompson got out, and he did everything that most people anticipated. The flash time was 9.99, but obviously adjusted to 10 seconds flat. There's nothing to say. I mean, he shut it down with 40 meters or more to go, and the kid looks good. He's got it in his legs. Uh, he's arrived. A lot of people are waiting on this, and I was really excited to see it. Uh, Make sure you put your thoughts in. Let me know your thoughts on what's going on. Uh, Annie, how are you doing? Good. She's good morning. The men showed out this morning. Yeah, a lot of some interesting stuff. Obviously, a lot of African guys doing some good stuff too. All the principles I thought were nothing really of a shock. There's a couple of things I want to talk about, but nothing that I believe might potentially have any long-term consequence. We'll get into it, and we'll see. Monte is saying officials should have got Azu the hell out of the way. That's the kind of challenge in the sport of track and field when athletes do a reaction time, and his reaction time was 0.073. And as many people know, the requirements is 100 milliseconds. So the idea is that there's no way you can start faster than that. This is the idea. If you do that, you are potentially trying to go with the gun, or just instead of reacting after the gun. The challenge is you anticipate the gun rather. The challenge for this, I have a video on this from some years ago, and a lot of people are upset. This is the one rule in track and field that I think needs to be changed. I'm not quite sure my thinking on it would have saved Azul, because I think the threshold should be about 0.8 as opposed to the 100 milliseconds. Yeah, he did react too fast. He anticipated the gun. The rules haven't been changed, even though World Athletics they have a study on this. So the challenge here is, he wants to go see it, and then he's sticking around on the track, and that is never a good thing for other athletes. And this is where you have to just put blinders on and not focus on that. And I was a bit nervous about it. Not that I thought anybody else would be in problems, but oftentimes athletes don't really get an opportunity to, because there's a time limit. You warm up, you go to the call room, you stride out, then you get there, you take off your suit, and you're ready to go. And then stuff like this happens. Thankfully, he didn't go and lie down on the track, but he did cause a bit of a delay. In the end, it didn't matter. Kishane Thompson got out. It looked really good, and almost going sub 10, and you know should be in good stead for tomorrow's semifinal. Asmati also from Ghana looking good. A bunch of African guys in the mix. We'll talk about them. Espinoza as well from Cuba getting the automatic qualifying spot. But yeah, I was most pleased with that. Yeah, I understand. Sorry for Aaron Brown. If we had to say any casualty, it would be Aaron Brown, the Canadian, and we can talk about it as well. I I don't think Brown was in the kind of shape that we've seen in previous years, but he also got knocked out in heat number 8. It was right. He was in a tough heat. I mean, it's possibly he could have gone through as as one of the small queues if he had run the race of his life. But yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. He's not been in that great form, but he has to bounce back and probably gear up for the relays that Canada from time to time can put together a decent team. I don't know how good they will be, but that's the kind of thing he has to focus on now. I tell what's going on. Jacobs done one hit wonder. I want to talk about Jacobs as well. He's the one athlete that I wasn't quite sure about today. Let me get to that in a second. So, I was going to go through one by one, but I'll just do it based on how you guys are feeling here. So Marcel Jacobs looks stiff to me, but I don't know if I'm worried about it, right? Or we should be worried about it. To be honest with you, I mean, we'll get a chance to see what he can do. He's in a different setup. I know a lot of people put the one hit wonder, and I know you just put that there. In fairness to Marcel Jacobs, I tell, and I have to be honest, you know, he he's been injured for a long period of time, right? He showed up at the Eugene World Championships clearly injured. He's not in the best of shape in the last few years. And when he wasn't really injured, he still managed to get global titles. So if you think about it, obviously the Olympic title came out as a shock, but he seized the moment, he won. And then he has a 60-meter world indoor title as well. He just hasn't been in any kind of shape to deliver at the major championships since the Olympic Games. He's back now. He's changed coaches. He's no longer, I think, in Padova. He's now back in the States, I think. He's different environment. But I really don't know if he will factor here, right? I wanted to see what he'll do, but he didn't. He looked a bit stiff, and athletes can look stiff. What I'm not seeing from him yet, and it could be just him not pushing it, is that we're not seeing any form of lift, right? We're not seeing the lift that we know he has. He came out, he looked fairly ordinary, and yeah, I don't know what that might mean for him. He certainly if he wants to make it into the final, that kind of execution is not going to work. There's no question about that. It won't work for him. He has to come up with something much different. Has to be better than that. But the Olympic champion, he's not. He's around, right? So we'll see. Any other thoughts on him? What else you were anticipating from Lamont Jacobs if you didn't get what you wanted from him there? But I think I won't write him off yet until we see him in the semifinal. And that's what I would say there. Yeah. He did a 10:05. It's not terrible. But he didn't look as smooth as you might want. Thanks everyone for joining. Don't forget to come in. There's a bunch of comments coming in. I'll get to that. Thank you for liking. Style saying, what time is the women's 100-meter final? That is later on today. We can get that up on the screen. The semifinal is later in the evening session, and then there is the final for that. That's going to be a cracker. Semifinal number two. Later on, I don't even know what to think about it. We talked about it last night, but it's just one of those things. How do we process what's going to happen there? Alfred versus Richardson versus Shelley and Fraser Price. You know, one of the one of those ladies will have to sit and wait to see if they qualify. Exciting times at the Olympics. Eric is saying Canada won it wonders. I want to talk about men's 100-meter final. Uh, was only at what's 10.2? Yeah. Okay. Oh, the Canada trial was okay. I see what you're saying. Yeah, I don't. No streaming here. Uh, and you're saying he wasn't, but you never want to see an athlete not get to run. Marcel is not a one-hit wonder. He has been injured. I agree with that. Uh, Penny saying Jacobs won because Zarnelius got DQ'd. Explain. Are you thinking because of that it changed the narrative of the race? I don't know. Uh, Tamara is saying Kishane's reaction time was slow. I think he was conservative considering the false start. Yes, I would agree with that. He came. It was what? Well, 1.6 was the reaction time. I'm fine with that in the opening round. I'm certainly fine with that. If the guy next to you false starts, you don't want to be in a situation where you could jeopardize your future here. And truthfully, given Kishane Thompson's last month or so we saw since the Jamaica National Championships, he can afford to not execute or react. I mean, he can't afford a really bad start, but the reaction he can afford not to have the best of reaction and still make it up. He there seems to be a lot in the tank, and so in that situation, I'm fine with it. And generally, sometimes you actually see this because when an athlete false starts, everybody subconsciously like, let me sit in this blocks. I don't want to be the next one to get a red card, and it's one and done. And there's a big goal here. And so I like what I saw from him here. I'm going to get to some of the other races, but I like the comments coming in. Itel is saying, Kishane, the train Thompson, he has a bunch of is those, yeah, train emojis. To go, he just needs a good start. Yeah. And he's saying, Zarnell wasn't going to win. He won with 980. Hughes is not running 97. Okay, yeah, we're going back to the 2021 Tokyo Games, I guess what you're saying. Afro Carib is saying Noah got the easier semi except for Seville. Oh yeah, we need to get the semis up and talk about it in a second as well. Speaking of Noah, you brought up Noah Lyles. You know, someone sent me a message earlier asking me about Noah if he was, look scared. Uh, Noah, I thought underestimated the heat he was in. He didn't run it as comfortable as he probably wanted to. He said that as well to American TV. I saw the interview. He said he's not gonna lie. He did underestimate the competition somewhat. But in my head, I'm wondering why. The reason why I'm wondering why there is when you look at the lineup, you would have seen a Sean Maswangani, Louis Hincliffe, the NCAA champion, the British champion as well. You know, University of Houston, they're trained by Carl Lewis. You must know these guys are in the race as well. I don't think there was ever a point that the top three places were in jeopardy. But you have to take a check and see, what can these guys deliver. The rest of the guys in the field aren't particularly strong to really pose any challenge. But he got out okay. I just think he was walking through, got out. Then he realized at one moment in the race, like, hold on, I may be way out of these top two, and he stepped on it a little bit, and he said on television that there's no way he'll do that again. So we'll see. We'll see there. But no, it was interesting in the way he executed his race. Eric is saying it would be wise for Shelley to do what? Maybe he said it down there. Monday is saying Jacobs look weak and out of shape, no muscularity. Yeah, he's not. he looks the same way all season. Thanks for saying that, because what's he done this season? He's done a 992, a 995. He did a 995 at the European Championships, I believe. I have to go check again off the top of my head. Uh, I I think the power isn't there, right? He looked okay, and I don't know if he's, you know, all season he looked like there's something that needs to happen. The legs are turning over, but the lift isn't there, and he's usually a big lift guy. Yeah, he might. Yeah, I think he might be weak. He might be lacking that explosive stuff, and that could be a result of too many injuries and the difficulty to train the way you want. If he continues like this, he won't make it to the final. Nikki, thank you. You want to hear about Amaniala? Ferdinand looked good. I like the turnover. The legs were turning over. Not a particularly lots of lift there, but he was running conservatively. I thought he got out well. He looked smooth. He looked. There's nothing that we could really dissect, at least from when I watched the race. I haven't rewatched it, to be honest with you. I just watched it in when it happened the first time, and I felt, I like what I saw from Ferdinand Omanyala. He looked smooth. Uh, he was in the second heat there. Not a lot of competition there. He had the Italian guy Ali and Josh Hartman from Great Britain, but Ferdinand just went through the motions. What I liked about the run was a really professional run, if I want to put it that way. He looked as if he knew he just needed to get the legs going. Don't want to go too fast, and conserve, because there's going to be some big running required when you get to the semifinals. So, yeah, and we'll talk about the semifinals in a little bit as well. But yeah, Ferdinand looked good. Yeah. Let me get to some more comments here. Thanks, guys. Don't forget to like the video. Eric P saying it would be wise for Shelley not to run anything better than a second or third here and save something for the finals. Yeah, I agree here. This is what we talked a little bit about it last night too, Eric. The challenge for a Fraser Price is we don't know how much she can knock back, go back to back. We don't know where she really is in terms of the speed, because we haven't really seen her. The challenge is, even if you do our big run, as you get older and a season curtailed by injury and not probably being able to do the type of training necessary, is how quickly can you recover in that short space of time and come back and do something. So yeah, it maybe she I suspect the heat will be fast regardless. I don't anticipate the fastest losers not coming out of that semifinal, so that might be an interesting thing. Yeah. Penny saying Hincliffe is the NCAA champion. Yeah, I mean, I like Louis. He looked good. He looked good at the British Championships in all of that crazy weather that they had. He's Carl Lewis is there talking to him. I think it's interesting. Erica is saying Noah is not in the best shape. Obviously, he said he was working on making changes, which I think is a distraction this late in the game. Yeah, what kind of changes he wants to work on? I in If last year didn't happen, I don't think we would be having this great conversation about what Noah might be doing over 100 meters. Or even though it happened, I think what we have is a situation where the build-up. The build-up around Lyles is big. It's big here in the States. It's big on the Netflix stuff. It's big in the sport, and they're building it up. And I have no problem with them building it up. I like it. I think track and field needs to be in the hearts and minds of everyday people all day of the week. But he is also the talker type, which is great. It's good for the sport. He runs his mouth, and not in a disrespectful manner, but maybe he throws a bit of shade here and there. But that's par for the course. And I think it's the setup of trying to get definitely 3 gold medals, 4 gold medals if he gets on to the 4x4, which is also another political kind of scenario where a bunch of American athletes are wondering about that. If he didn't, then we wouldn't worry. We would say, look, Noah is doubling. he is doing well. If he picks up a medal, if he gets to the, that would be a great thing for him. But he's on course to win everything. That's the narrative around it. And so I think that's the interesting thing. I was When he pulled out of Monaco, and I've been on record saying this, and he didn't go to the Diamond League, which is a late in the game thing, and it wasn't for injury, it was just to do some extra training. In a way, I was like, oh, that's interesting. But I also get it because no medals are handed out on the Diamond League circuit. They hand them out at the Olympics. And then he showed up in London and ran a PB, and he looked really good there. For him, it's execution. If he doesn't execute really well, he could be in some trouble. So we'll see. Well, we get more to that. Stephen is saying semifinals will be hot for the favorites, and they will have to put on some good performances. Uh, I'll get to back. I'll get back to that. I want to pull that up in a little bit. I get to Tamara and Doreen. Doreen is here. Morning, Doreen. Good to have you on. The Tamara is saying, why did they give Kishane the green card? Was it because of the roar? Because Noah usually, yeah, that's an interesting one. I don't know. I'm wondering because they went up to him. I wasn't sure if if they were giving it to the whole field, and they gave it to him. I don't know if it took too long to get back into the starters orders. That's something that I haven't found out. And I actually didn't investigate, to be honest with you. I just went on thinking about it. He smiled a little bit at it, and it didn't impact him in any real way, but he did get a card in his face. I'm not quite sure. Eric is saying 5 people will be coming out of Shelley's heat. Okay, yeah, it's quite possible. Monte is saying Noah peak for U.S. trials. Interesting. Yeah. Almost Man says Noah Lyles. Okay, will get rolled if he makes it to the final. And yeah, I think it was for the roar. Caviar Cowboy saying about, I guess, in response to what happened to Kishane Thompson. Yeah, it was an interesting to see Kishane kind of doing this vibe thing there at the Olympics. But yeah, it's one of those things. Maybe we should take a quick look at the semifinals. What we'll get on that. I think that might be interesting. The lineup for the semifinals already, right? And then it's going to be interesting. I haven't spent enough time looking at them. No, I'm just not looking at them. So there are going to be 3 semifinals as usual tomorrow. Two qualify, and 3 of them get out. And so Lyles and Oblique Seville are in the same semifinal. Interesting there. You got Hincliffe in the middle. So Hincliffe is in the middle of Noah Lyles and Oblique Seville. That should be interesting. I like what I saw from Oblique Seville. He looked calm. He looked like he was going through the motions as well. Hopefully he's healthy. If he is healthy, we should see something there. The aim for him is to make sure he qualifies. But this is an interesting. It's not a terrible semifinal to be in. Favor Ash is there. He's gone sub 10 this year as well. He had to wait to qualify on the small queue. But I wouldn't put things past Maswangani too. This kid is interesting. So both the guys from University of Houston are back in the same semifinal. Yeah, but I if I had to put money on it, I'm saying it's gonna be Lyles and Seville that should automatically go through, and we'll see. Heat number 2, this is gonna be a different one there. It has Akeem Blake. We didn't even touch on Akeem Blake either. I think Blake looked decent. I like what I saw from him too. We'll see how good if he has enough in the tank to go far. I'm not quite sure. Kung Fu looked good as well. I like Kenny Bednarak. Simbini also looked decent. Yes, I like what I'm seeing also in terms of you've seen a lot more athletes, from all over especially from the African continent. But then obviously, let's see Tobago. We didn't even touch on him yet. I thought Tobago, when he looked across, he shut that down early, even though he didn't win it. But there's a lot more there. This is a tough semifinal. I think I got Tobago going through automatically with Kung Fu Kenny. I have to think more about this. Yeah, this is not an easy semifinal to get through. Yeah. Simbini there too. The Olympic champion. Yeah, that's going to be tough. And then the final semifinal will feature Kishane Thompson and Ferdinand Manala and Fred Curley. My God. Yeah, Zarnell Hughes. I don't know where Zarnell is. He had some trouble earlier this year. His season best is 10 flat. How fast can he go? I'm not quite sure. Good to see Sonny Brown too. Yeah, it's going to be a big semifinal here. It depends on how well I think if Ferdinand executes well, Fred Curley could be watching, or if Curley executes, it's going to be interesting. I don't know. You guys let me know. This is going to be one of those interesting stuff. Thanks everybody for joining. Let me get back to the comments here. I don't know where I missed out on some comments. Uh, Mont, I don't even know. Civil, Thompson, Quinella, Easy. Are you doing it in that order, or are you doing it in the other way? I mean, initially in my preview, I was saying if Oblique Civil is on fire, if he's not hurt or he's not hurt anymore, as far as we know, if it didn't impact his development since the national championships, I think Jamaica could go 1-2 here. It's possible. I don't know if it'll happen, but it's possible. Eric is saying Ferdinand must slim down. Yeah, he looks leaner. That's a good point. Thanks for saying that. Looks much leaner. He looks like he's ready for a championship and this time. I mean, it's hard to make all these big claims or statements after one run. But Ferdinand he's experienced. He's also experienced interesting times. I thought in Eugene, he had the worst experience you could ever have. Literally arriving at the championships a few hours before he had to race, and there's no way he would have been able to run at his best. But those are the things that you put in your back pocket and you try to grow from. The big challenge for Manala most of the time is whether or not he can replicate some of the fast times he delivers in Kenya. My critique of him last year, I think, was more of, or in the year before too, is that Ferdinand to me races he races a lot. So there's a point where he's like at every meet running, and I suspect that is not always the best thing. At some point, there's only so much you can do as a sprinter. The pounding will get to you. So I don't know. I love to see him execute well. I think for whatever it's worth, Omaniala's impact on sprinting in Kenya might be bigger than we can imagine were he to even find his way close to the medal podium, but it's not going to be easy. Frank just getting in the final a bit tough. Franklin is saying Shelley must go all out in the semis, must get to the finals first to win it. Yeah, that's a good point too. You don't want to leave things on the table because you don't want to sit and say, well, I should have done this. I don't know. Yeah. Detonation is saying, I don't think Oblique will let Noah beat him. And I guess and trash talk. Yeah, I guess importantly you want to execute. I suspect it's a tough heat. But God Mills will be telling him to execute. There's no opportunity for him or any athlete should not be doing this. I suspect Kishane might. It just depends on how you're feeling. You want to execute the first phase really well. You need a top class start. Get into your acceleration, and then you can take a check. I feel like if you're at like 60 or 75 meters there, you can start taking a check. And if you're out there, then you can conserve some as long as you know that you'll automatically get in. I don't think the lanes matter to me where you line up in the final. A lot of us like to see the person winning from the middle. It looks good for TV, but it doesn't matter. There's no advantage really. It's a straight shot. For some people, they like outside lanes because they don't have to be fidgeting with somebody on the in and outside of them. It's a straight line. So yeah, he has to go with the intention of proper execution, nailing it, and then you see what happens. Then you see what happens. Cheryl, full stop. Nadine is saying, "How are you doing?" If Lyles makes it to the final, they might sandwich him between Civil and Kishane. That would be epic. Well, we'll. It depends, right? I suppose it depends on how they finish in their respective heats. Yeah, it may not. It might. They may not end up in the same area there, but it's possible. Yeah. Almost is saying Kenny looks very smooth. I think Kenny will win it all. Interesting. That's a big call there. Kung Fu Kenny to win it all. It's a different year for Kung Fu Kenny. Dublin, it's his first time doubling. We often think he's better over 200 meters. Well, clearly because he has medals at that level. I like what I'm seeing from him. There's a comfort level from him. I also think he's somewhat flying under the microscope a bit, if you can, as a as an athlete of his stature can be, if that's possible. I do think he looked good. He looked good all season. All season's in great shape. Had the world lead on over 200 meters at some point. To win it all is a big call though. That that would be anticipating that he has very low 9.8s, 9.7s and below in the legs, and I can't see it, but I guess they will run and we'll find out. Eric is saying Kung Fu is a wild card. Yeah, you can't you can't really count him out, to be honest with you. Eric has also said, by the way, the track 100 stretch is looking slow. I don't know. My video says don't expect world records, and then we get, an Olympic record and a world record yesterday. I mean, it just depends. It's the conditions to it. I think the track is fine, but I don't think it's. I think it's a better traction control track than the one in Tokyo. But I believe Mondo on that. How how fast athletes go will depend on whether you get decent wind and so on. Monte saying Lyles got the easy semi. Semi 3 will be ferocious. We can put up the semis again. Let me see. Yeah. I don't know though. I mean, semifinal number 3. Interesting. Again, it's Curly. Yeah. Kishane. Yeah, we're not even talking about Fred Curly. What are your thoughts on him? Yeah, so we have Curly. It could be here's Andre DeGrasse. I don't know if he'll get out of that. Manala and Thompson. It's gonna be big time running here. Big time running. Even the kid Benjamin Richardson Snuckton, that's the kid from South Africa. I don't know. Yeah. Kishane ran in the first heat if you're talking about the opening round. He was in the first one. He had to wait a little bit. He there was a false start there, and the kid took a while to get off the track, and he sat in the blocks for a little bit. So, but it was a morning stroll for him. There's so much more in the tank. I think he would enjoy getting the jitters out. He probably can put his feet up like all of them too, and just relax and watch some great action tonight from the women. He come back tomorrow and try to do it again. The race, I don't know which race are you talking about. If the finals are semifinals and finals for men are tomorrow. Later on, we'll have the semifinal and finals for women later. That's the big race. That's gonna. I don't know what's gonna happen there. That's just gonna be crazy. Yeah, thanks for putting that. Mark is saying Mark Green, Shelley has a surprise. I wouldn't doubt it. You're probably going to need it if you're going to find your way on the podium or getting into the final. Yeah, it's tough. STG, what's going on? What did I tell you about DeGrasse in the 100 this year? You're right. Last night you did say you weren't expecting much from him. Yeah, he didn't look. He just looked ordinary. I don't know. Yeah, I would be shocked if he makes it into the final. I'll see what he gets out of the 200 meters. Yeah. More comments here. I'll get to those. Eric P saying because of Noah's desperation, making changes to his race, I don't think he's one to be worried about anymore. Yeah. I think for Noah to be competitive, it requires a lot of people not to execute well, at least for the gold medal for me. It requires Civil not to execute well. It requires Kishane not to execute early. I mean, I think the Kishane thing is the different. We'll see in the semifinal, but I think if he runs the way we anticipate, I think everybody else is running for silver and bronze. But I don't know. I mean, Noah is interesting. He's got great top end speed. He can, but I think this is a different. This is tougher than he probably would anticipate. Yeah. Morning, resilient. Live on Derek for the commentary. Thanks for being in. Kofi said, "What did Kishane run? You mean time? Uh, it was 10 flat, I think. Yeah, easy as you like." Uh, and Kofi's also saying DeGrasse always been a sleeper. Yeah, I mean he shows up at big championships. He hadn't done it in a little bit of last year or so, but I think Andre is in a good place. But we also have to remember he's getting older. He's been around for a while, so the expectation has to change as well. Yeah, yeah. Sandy saying Noah is in good shape. He just realized Hurricane Kishane and Thunderbolt Oblique is about to arc, is about to sink, is about to sink his arc. I guess he will need a tugboat and a lifeline to get him to third or fourth. It's hilarious. Yeah, hilarious. I'm glad you did that on the spot. Penny saying both men's semifinal races will be under 10 seconds. Yeah, it has to be. I mean, you would think, unless there's like a minus 2.0 or worse wind, you anticipate it's going to be a cracker. These guys have to run for their lives. I don't care what semifinal you're in, especially if you don't feel like you can get into the top two. You have to run hard. Yeah. It's not easy. You look at it and you're trying to make sense of it. Semifinal number one, there's really great people there. Oblique is there. You can't count out the SME. You can't count out Hincliffe. There's Lyles, obviously. Maswangani. Those guys, I think those young kids could try to run the race of their life, right? Even favor Ashe. So, if I'm in that semifinal, you're coaching an athlete or you're talking to an athlete, you're like, look, just run for your life right here. Don't worry about Lyles. Don't worry about Oblique Seville. Yeah, and let the chips fall where they may. So you have to execute. It's not going to be easy, but it's not when you look at it on paper, you're saying it's not terrible, but of a semifinal, but you just don't know what athletes will do. Can Akeem Blake make it to the? I think if Akeem Blake wants to make it to the final, he has to run the race of his life here because Teboga, I think for me, and Kung Fu Kenny will get the automatic spot, and you don't want them to get it in a comfortable manner. So it will require Keem to get a blistering start in order to make his way into that final. So that's my thoughts on it. The Cuban kid did 996 recent as well this year. Who knows what he'll show up with? And then if you're the Olympic champion, at some point you have to think, I'm here to defend my title and I'm not going to get out in the semifinal. I don't know if there's anything in the legs for that, but the mental preparation will be different. Akini Simbin, you look at him and he's been near the medal podium. He's been looking as good as you've ever seen in a long while. That's a cracker right there. There's a bunch of guys who could really get into the final out of this semifinal here. I think it's going to be super fast. I think two will be extremely fast. So we'll see. I'll get back to some of your comments. Thank you guys for liking the video. STG saying DeGrasse not making the final. I can see that. Yeah, I think it might be too much for him. And your resident is saying, I wanted to ask you on a preliminary round, Kishane ran was the reason for the green card he was shown. I didn't get an official thing, but I think most people are saying he got it because he was roaring. I think he was pretty much delaying the start by doing that kind of stuff. It could also be an intimidation thing, but a lot of people do that. So Yeah, he didn't do anything out of the ordinary, I would say. He certainly didn't do things that the guys in the 90s would do. Walk into your lane and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. STG say all semifinals are deadly, but semifinal one is the easiest, but running blind. Yeah, it is, because you think there's a couple of those guys who, based on their capability, should get through comfortable. But it opens an opportunity for some other people to run blinders there. Yeah. Uh, Also, STG saying Curly looks good. I like what I saw from Fred, but I think Let Sealy looks really good too. Yeah, I don't know if it was Brian last night was saying this too, but it's interesting. You know, yeah, we got about 400 and something people on the live and only 44 likes. So do me a favor on that. Yeah, I think there's a lot in the tank for Let's See Tobago. He looked across. I think he shut it down. I think he's gonna lift. I will not be shocked if he does something outrageous as well. I will not be shocked. Yeah, let me get back to all of these comments here. There's so many of them. Really appreciate them coming through. Uh, STG saying Kishane handled a false start. Well, I think he did. Um, Eric is saying Noah's narcissist reaction is obvious. If he loses next race, he's going to have a meltdown. I hope not. Oh yeah, Brian did say it last time. What's up, Brian? He did. You were talking about even Let's See. Kishane looked like Bolt in '08. Whew. Yeah. Uh, Through first round with the easy 10 flat, easy by far through the first round. Yeah. No, I think to add to what you're saying and what to STG was saying, and he had adversity because you get thrown off slightly by the false start. You never know what that can do. He looked good. I think he's here. He feels good. I think even those, I don't think there's anything for him to worry about. And if he executes the way Francis wants him to, it's going to be crazy. Mina is saying Damien won a gambler's chance at pole vault. He's out of a medal. Oh yeah, I didn't see the the last part of the pole vault, to be honest with you. He looked good this morning in what was it, uh in the hurdles. Yeah, but I didn't check the rest of the decathlon stuff. I watched some of it, but then I went to do something else. Really interesting stuff there. Is so he's done for sure? Let's see. Where's one? Oh my gosh. He's done. Damien Warner, he failed at 460 at 3 attempts. He's done. Interesting here. Because he took the lead again this morning, then it was back and forth. Yeah, it's all over for him right now. Yeah, that is bad. I think that just opens the door now. I think Leo Norgbar will win this. Uh, I like what I'm seeing from Ruth from as well. Lyndon Victor today with that discus throw. Since we touched on the decathlon, he went on that Olympic best there in the discus this morning. I thought that was big time from him there. What was it? 53 or something like that, picking up a whole 900 and something points, 952 points. Yeah, interesting place with uh the decathlon. I think AOD could still try to get into the medal spots there. It's very close. Even Harrison Williams are getting back up into it. Yeah, interesting. Thanks for that, Mina. Yeah. Damon Warner, what did he do? My gosh. Anyway, Franklin is saying, let's get to that. Kenny does not have to deal with the pressure faced by Lyles performing under the radar. Dangerous. Yeah, I think no one talks about Kung Fu Kenny, even though he was having a great season. When he dropped that, was it when he dropped the initial 200 early? Lyles went out and he was like, yeah, you keep the world lead for a little bit. He's just been doing his own thing. I like what I'm seeing from Kung Fu, and I think he shows up for these major championships and he'll be ready. Yeah, he definitely on the podium for me in the 200 meters. Here, it's hard. But we'll see. Uh, Eric is saying dejection. John Heyman, thanks for coming on. STG says nine. Okay, I think you're putting the times there. Penny's doing the same as well. That's probably responding to somebody else. Al is saying Noah Lyles gonna lose than last 40 crazy low diff for Kishane gonna med. I don't even know what you're saying. uh, STG saying Lyles will adjust and will be competitive. He's not winning the goal though. Yeah, I think he should. I mean, Lyles coached by one of the greats, right? Lance is really good. Uh, Prepared a lot of athletes. Execution is the key for Noah, and you don't want to get left behind in the blocks, but I don't know. Kofi saying it might be too late for that top end speed. That's the thing. If you and I think you're referring to Lyles, if you get run out, then you could be interesting. You can't catch people. That we saw it with Seville, even though Seville was even checking at the Racers Grand Prix. There are certain athletes that if they get out really well on you, no matter how quick you are, you're not catching them. You have to be close to them, if otherwise you're done. Robert, what are your thoughts on Carl Lewis protege Incliffe? I like the kid. I saw him at Penn's. I saw him at. I didn't see him. I watched him in the NCAA season. I think there's a good group of sprinters that always come through at Houston. Carl is there. Leroy left last year. Leroy Burrell, he's no longer there. Where is he at? Auburn? Is he at Auburn? I can't remember, but Carl. The one thing those guys are getting is definitely his ability to kind of impart big stuff. I don't know what kind of coaching Carl does. I mean, Carl, I think he's like a hybrid type coach. He's probably not always on the details, but from what I've heard, but I don't know. I've never seen it in action. But he's good for getting you motivated, and he's giving them different tidbits. I saw there was an interesting interview after the British Championships, and Carr was saying that he likes the kid. The kid came over, he adjusted to different life, and he's listening a lot. How quick can he go? I don't know. He's young. He has to take it in strides, but he's good. I mean, I think he's okay. I think the Maswangani kid to me has more talent, but that's a different story. Yeah, we wait and see. But I don't have any issues with Louis. I think he's an interesting kid. I guess even the people in Great Britain didn't really know much about him. Maybe STG can talk about that. He knows more about that stuff, but I don't know. Lyles' speed maintenance not really top. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Semis will be 9.8. Yeah, I could see that. The men's field is deeper than the women now. Yeah, certainly in terms of where we're thinking about the times. We're in a transitionary period in women, I suspect. I think, and also not having like the likes of an Elaine Thompson there, who should be still in our prime, but obviously injuries has kind of wrecked that in a different direction, and maybe other things too. Tamara saying Fred Curley looks good I guess in the heats. I think he will be Kishane's major competitor in that semi. Yeah, Fred is been there, has done that. Fred has gone through a lot, so much so that up until this season, I was really writing Fred off in the sense that this might be it for him. And he found a way in the U.S. national team, in spite of what we would call a circus, because what happened in Long Island and on Randall's Island rather, at that New York Grand Prix was a circus. He showed up in a different spikes. He said he left the spikes in the airport, but that's not. I don't know if you believe that. There's been a lot of talk about whether or not Fred really wanted to run in those aces spikes. He didn't like them. He was performing better in training. There's all of these different conversations on what Fred was doing, and if he didn't make that U.S. national team, you could see no one going to him because the way in which he got out of that could be messy, right? I don't know if it's not a mutual thing, right? They must be unhappy, right? So yeah, he seems quietly motivated. He's done the talking with his legs, and I think that's his strategy right now until the end of this championships, and we'll see how far that takes him. Okay, this is hilarious there from Brazilian. Kofi is saying DeGrasse reminds me of Mike Rogers. He's all well. Okay, I mean DeGrasse is different class though. Olympic champion. Medalist. Is yeah, but I know you mean longevity. You're talking about. Marcel, you're saying Marcel is done according to Kofi. Uh, Stephen is saying you definitely must execute and run fast in the semifinals to get to the final. I agree with that. Catherine, how are you? Semifinal 3 is hot. 6 top. I guess boss. You mean who will come out? Yeah, no, it's gonna be tough. And Kofi's also saying no hate to that Italian. Yeah. STG says green card was for the field normally. That's what I'm saying. Like it looked like they were going on the field because when you execute a green card, it's to say everything is ready. But it was in his face, so usually that would be a warning if they thought something was off. But I don't know. I think we'll have to check if someone asked about that or if there's any kind of clarification. Evelyn's on the beach says you're right. The semi is going to be fast. STG to Tobago looks comfortable indeed. I agree. Tobago's weak spot is the time acceleration to max speed. Yeah, I think there's a lot of technical deficiencies there. I like what he's done over the last couple of years in terms of how he gets out. I think he stays low, he gets good start. There's some things I would like to see Tobago work with, like Glenn Mills or I mean, I could see him working with like even Bobby, even though Bobby doesn't really like, maybe John Smith, like Tobago with John Smith and it would be something interesting. Yeah. But, I can't, yeah, we'll see. Tobago shut it down way too early. I don't know if he did it way too early. I think at that moment I could see what you're saying, but I felt like he probably felt like there's not 3 men that's going to pass him. So maybe. Nadine is saying, what the hell if Noah takes the semifinal lightly and don't make it to the finals? That would be something else. If Noah Lyles doesn't make it to the final, I mean, it's probably going to be on the front page of the New York Times. It's going to be crazy. I don't know. It's out there. Look at this now. Lyles just want. Oh, okay. Stone is saying Lyles just want to make the finals. Yeah. Kofi Brommel was a big disappointment in my opinion. I mean, he suffered from some injuries too, so I don't know what to say about that. Sometimes you don't really know. You look at promise and they don't deliver the way they want them to, but I don't know. Ragged Man said only 2 Asians in the semifinal. Yeah, I saw that. Lots of African guys making it through. It's one of those things. Yeah, you have to develop the talent, and they have to come through all the time. It's not easy. Eric P saying both actually ran slow in the first round, to the best of my memory, in '08. Probably, yeah. I don't know if I want to compare it in those ways. I think you can look at it not on the timing, but look at it on the looks, right? And Kishane Thompson was comfortable, really comfortable. It looks like the stage belongs to him. He had some adversity. All the athletes there had adversity in the sense of a false start can throw you off. It didn't. He's in a semifinal. We'll see. I think if he gets out, he executes well. If he's way ahead of everybody, which we anticipate he should be, then he'll probably do a couple checks. I don't like the checks, but and I'm sure Francis tells him not to check, and every coach says that, but it's hard. It's hard not to check, I believe. I can believe it. I remember Usain Bolt used to get hammered for this. Glenn Mills hammered him for it a lot, and he still goes out there and do it. I think there was an interview once where he said, "I'll try not to do it, but it's just hard not to do." I guess when you're way ahead of everybody else, you always want to check. If he's out there, he'll probably do a check. He goes through the line, and he gets back for the final. The championship series at the Jamaica National Championship was outrageous. To go 9.8, 9.8, then 9.7, shutting it down means that the body is ready. So we shouldn't have worries there. I don't. There's, the narrative about is his first Olympics, all of that. Yeah, that is true. I mean, but you never know how people can react to that. So far, he's reacting fine. So we'll see. Real Bros has hit the like people. Thanks. SDG saying there's so many comments I probably can't keep up with them, but I get to them. And then we got to get off of this because, we got to do a watch along for later on. Warner also good in the discus. Yeah, Warner was really good in the discus. He's really top class, and I think he has no, actually, Lauenberger is the guy that's really, really good in the discus too. He's gone really far. Yeah, Warner is decent. I remember. I have to remember to see what his best is in. His best again was off the top of my head. I can't remember. But to have no mark in the pole vault just really it's just madness. Yeah. Uh, Eric is saying the German dude. I think you're talking about Leo Norbor, or however they pronounce it. Yeah, he's good. The German PB is 58 in the discus, so he left points on the table there. Yeah, coach wanted at least 55. I think, yeah, he's fine. I think he'll win now easily. He should win easily. Uh, I think that kid has the ability to go 9,000 points. Maybe not today, obviously, but I think he has the. He could one day approach a world record. He's really talented. Yeah. Tasha saying Team Jamaica, she loves it. Nehemiah saying Naima, rather, sorry. Lyles put himself under pressure with that mouth. Bednarak looks good. I think there will be surprises. There might be, yeah. There might be. Team No Limit Lifestyle. Can everyone in the chat like up the live? Just show some love. Thanks. I mean, I love it. I love it. Latte Brown, how are you doing? Latte Brown, rather. What time is the women's semifinal? We'll put that back up. It's yeah, I'll ask my producer to put that back up. Off the top of my head, I can't remember. Come on, what's going on? The Olympic is unlike this Olympics is unlike any other for the men 100 meters. Very competitive, very good people might not make the final. It is. It's I think STG said it too earlier. The men are in a great cycle, and we're sitting in a situation where there's a lot of top class athletes here, and it's what you want to see in the sport, right? And people will be denied, right? We've seen this a lot in women's hurdles, and we haven't talked much about it, and we'll get to talk about it. There are people who sit on times that don't get into the finals. Like, look at even Megan Tapper in the last two World Championships. Those times are her times in Eugene and in Budapest are the fastest times ever not to make it to a final. We may end up in a situation like that in the 100 meters for men, where you'll see sometimes that could have won previous Olympic Games or World Championships, and they don't make it into the final, and that's when sometimes the sport shifts. But I like what I'm seeing. I think we haven't gone back to the times yet of the last era, and we may never get to those times consistently by a bunch of guys. I don't know. But there's enough people coming through that could start to raise the profile again and force people to start running fast. If you get a guy like a Thompson that takes it up a notch, then everybody else will go work overtime in order to get there, right? Sometimes you need that one outlier or someone that's at the top of the pack to push the sport in different directions. I don't know if we'll get that from him. I'm not concerned about it right now. I think no one should be. He should just be concerned about getting out of the semifinal, getting into a final, and see if he can cement his name into history. Because he would be in a club of two were he to do that, you know, or any Jamaican in particular. The only the great man has won the Olympic title for Jamaica over 100 meters. Obviously, there are other Jamaicans that have won the Olympic title running for other countries. Linford Christie, Donovan Bailey, obviously. Ben crossed the line too, but we all know what happened in Seoul. So yeah, he would be in a really rare club there in general. I guess Penny's bigging up North Street people. Uh, Eric is saying Lyles is presently aggravated and humiliated at minimum. Why are you guys digging Lyles like that? Come on, I mean he'll be fine. I mean we'll see. Lyles, Allison, Lyles closing most of his races in the last 40-meter gap determines he's gonna be favorite to win, except in the heat. I mean, okay, yeah, I think I understand what you're saying. Yeah, he closes well. I mean, I think it's also because he doesn't execute the first phase enough, so it looks like he's running down people, and other people have already executed and is just slowing down really quickly. So, and it's that kind of optical illusion too. Brandon is saying Lyles has to be level with Kishane at 60 in order to win. Yeah, and then he's probably couldn't. But I understand what you're saying. Yeah, you want to be if you're Noah Lyles, you don't want to be left behind. You don't want to have a guy like Seville or any other of these athletes leave you so far behind that you can't get in the mix. You know, it could be a problem. Unstoppable, what's going on? I did hit the like button. Okay. SDG, kings of top end speed are Kishane and oblique. Top end is not the same as speed maintenance. Problem for the field is Kishane foot strike and body position. He hits top end speed early. Yeah, he gets out really quick. He has good strike, good turnover too. A lot of these guys have some good, uh, interesting turnover. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, yeah, and yeah, you did say that too as well. Yeah, Kim Noel is not going to run people like Kishane's gonna. I don't. Oh, you mean Noah? Probably. All right. Kimon is saying everyone seems to forget Fred is a 9.7 sprinter. Yeah, but Fred ran that a few years ago. I'm not saying Fred can get to 9.7 here. We haven't seen it in a while, right? I don't think Fred has been sprinting consistently enough in order to for us to feel that he's locked in for anything. That's how I would say it. To be honest with you, but we'll see. I wouldn't. No one should count out Fred Curley at all. Yeah, Thomas is saying, "How are you doing?" Noah has to execute much better in the semis. Yeah, I believe if you wanted to have a bad race, if you wanted to have a race where you weren't concentrating properly, it happened for Lyles. It happened. I don't know why, but it's fine. I mean, he made it through. He probably didn't think he had to work as hard as he did. Clearly, probably needed to. So I suspect he'll come back in a different frame of mind tomorrow. He may run the semifinal of his life, right? I think that may happen. Uh, Penny saying 100 is not a come from behind race. Kofi saying that was a bad choice by Fred. I remember what you're saying here. A lot of people are saying hit. Thank you for saying that. Uh, 0.16 is not particularly slow. Some of the fastest, yeah, yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, that's probably it's not terribly either, but some people go quicker. Oh, Dean the Dream on a super chat here. Thank you, appreciate it. Jackson 0.16 is just fine. Yeah. Penny saying Donovan Bailey was lucky because Linford Christie got DQ'd. Here we go again with those stories. I don't know. That's an interesting one there. That was the worst kind of setup you've ever seen, too. Yeah, it took forever there in 96. Linford Christie didn't want to leave the track, all of that stuff. Yeah. Real madness. Yeah. Yeah. It's up there. Uh, those days are gone, I guess. Fred wanted to get out of his contract with his sponsor, then he succeeded. Eric is saying that. Uh, John is saying, people saying, uh, Leduc can run 10.8. I can't see it. Tia is in at 10.8 shape. Yeah, I don't know if she can do that. If she were to pull that off later on, that would be great. Yeah, we'll see. Sonia, what's going on? The green card was in his face. It was. Yeah, I agree. Tech Wiz is asking, is there a list for the semis? Yes, we can put that up again on the screen. At this rate, I can't keep up with all of your comments, guys, and I may soon have to jump off the live. I appreciate it if I don't get to your comments, don't feel bad. I try to get them there. We'll put up the semifinals in another bit. Marietta is saying, what about Marcel Jacobs? I did touch on Marcel. It looks stiff. It looks like there's no lift there. I don't know if it's just just the one race why he's not looking that great yet. But he looks the same way all season, the way he's running. He gets out, but you just don't get the impression that he can get any faster. That's how he looked all season to me, and he looked the same way today. But we'll get a better sense in the semifinal from Jacobs. Yeah, we'll put up the lineup for the semifinal. So this is the semifinal for tomorrow. As Feva Ashe, Brathwaite there, Asmati, Lyles, Hincliffe, Seville, Asimi, and Ali and Maswangani. So that's the first one there, and just put through the rest on the screen. I don't have to read it out. I'll check on some more of your comments while we do that. So you get a chance there. Yeah, 08 had 4 rounds. Yeah, no, only 3 rounds. So first round here, event equivalent to second round. I agree. Yeah, hit that like button. Big up Penny. I'll be back later. Thanks, Sonia, for doing that. Warner hit nearest PB 49. PB hit 48 today. Yeah, thanks for clearing that up. The German kid is the interesting. Yeah. What? How much points he's on now? He's on 7-4. What's the combine point total? I have to look at that again. He's on 7-4-10. He could get to 9,000 here. Interesting. But he's special. I don't know if he'll do it, but yeah, it depends. 1,500. I don't know how. I can't remember how good is in, and he has to do the javelin as well. Yeah, but he's gonna be a fantastic kid for sure. Now these guys are doing high school here. Debbie, are you doing peace with you as well? People are talking about who played Manning Cup back in the day. Interesting. Thomas is saying I can see 9.9 not making the final. It's very possible. Yeah, very possible. Franklin says Peacock and NBC both cut away from the men's heats going to swimming. Don't know why. I actually just watched it straight on the Peacock stream this morning. They didn't cut away from me. So what I do sometimes is run on multiples of the NBC streams because I don't trust them. So I will hit the one that just says javelin or 100 meters, or I think yesterday when I was doing a watch along, I had one of those things where I was watching 4 events at the same time, then a main channel, because they'll move. But you got to do it on the main channel that says that's the track and field alone, because if you do it on their main channel, sometimes they'll switch to other events, and I don't trust them. Yeah. Especially not, I know, I don't know, I don't want to get in the heads of NBC. Their coverage is always crazy. Zach is saying, for God's sake, Marie-José Talou deserves a medal. The lady has struggled a lot, always misses out. I feel it for Talou. But it's one of those things where, they don't give away the medals. I think Talou has been in spaces where she should have medaled before, and it just doesn't happen. Last year, Shelly shouldn't have medaled last year. this is how good you know Shelley is. She was injured and then she came and found a way on the podium. A lot of people should have taken that opportunity. I don't know. Talu looked decent, probably ran a little bit faster than I would have liked to see, but I think she's fine. Uh, it's tough. Sometimes you don't make the medals because other people just are just too good. Other times you feel like you missed out on it. It's like last year I felt Keely Hutchinson should have won the 800 meters. And no disrespect to Mira Mora, which I think she's the best tactician over the 800. But yeah, if Hutchinson doesn't win the 800 meters at this Olympics, then you're gonna have to say like, what's going on? That's the kind of question. Yeah. Shelley is wise slash experienced enough to do what it takes, according to Debbie. Very, yeah, I agree there. Uh, Anika is saying Noah Lyles is living rent free in a few heads. uh, Another comment here: if Lyles doesn't it, get it, get I guess you want to say his first 60, it's gonna be really hard for him to win in the finals. Yeah. Evelyn, I like this live stream. Appreciate it. We'll be back later for a watch along. I know a lot of people think I'm showing the races. I don't. I just watch along. If you're watching somewhere else and you want to also chat about it, I do the watch along there, and then we'll come back in the evening again and get on to a review of what's happening. It's going to be fire later on, I think. Either way, DG saying, and I have to shut this down, but I try to get to the comments as quickly as I can. Thompson looks crazy. I think he shut it down around 50. Could have easily ran into the 9.8s, and Thompson looks really confident and was smiling. Yeah, he looks good. I think you ran on the instruction because you don't want to make. Just listen to Stephen Francis and you should be fine. I think so. William question mark is saying Oblique is learning how to run the rounds. He better. Oblique, he did very well in Tokyo. It was his first time there. Mills said he was ahead of preparation. Didn't make it into the final, but I thought he should have been on a medal podium in Eugene and last year. And this is it for him, I believe. Oblique Seville needs to find a way on the medal podium this year. Has to run two of the best races in his life. Get to that final, and he needs to execute like you've never seen before. Because if he doesn't get on the podium this time, we're going to start asking some questions. But I like the kid. I think he's been handled by one of the best, and he just needs to execute for himself, not for the country, not for anybody else. Maybe for Mills too, but for himself for sure. Vernon Morgan, good morning. People, watch out for Murray in the final. Yeah, I will never count out Talu for sure. It's going to be tough, but we'll see. Kip me saying Thompson running style is almost similar to that of Usain Bolt. Interesting. I don't see that, but I see more of an Asafa Powell, but with variations on it. But we'll see. I have to kind of look at that again. Nadine saying Noah's ego is going to keep him off the podium in the finals. Noah will finish fourth. It's going to be a photo finish. I don't know if the ego would be responsible for it, but I understand what you're saying. I think if he doesn't make it on the podium, it's just because there's some other guys who are quicker and probably didn't execute the way he wanted to. He's good enough for the podium, but we'll have to see. Evelyn on the Beach is saying, indeed, and they need to stop the insult and lies, let him talk and be himself. Look, I've often said Noah is good for the sport, whether we like it or not. We people have different motivations. He's bringing a lot of eyes to the sport. He talks. It's like boxing in a little bit, but he's not really disrespectful with it. So I think he's cool for the sport. We need all of those people to be doing what they're doing because the sport needs eyes, it needs better marketing, it needs everything, and I think he's doing a lot for it. Sometimes you can overtalk. I think when you talk a lot and if you don't deliver, then that's when people get on you. But he delivers most of the time, so I think he should be fine. Darius is saying Kishane for the win. Thompson for the win. Interesting. World record holder, they said in the Decathlon. You mean Mara didn't? He didn't go he fell out, right? For the French guy didn't go out. Maybe I'm mixing up what's going on. Yeah. Oh, I see what you're saying. Oh, yeah, I see you clarify. Yeah, it's Kevin Maher. He was a last minute scratch for the French guys. He's injured all season. I think he's not on. I don't think he's on course for the world record. I have to go check. I doubt it though. He's definitely not on course for the world record. I don't know if he's on course for 9,000 points though. I have to go back and look at the book, but it's hard to do on the live. Darius is also saying Noah maybe finish fourth. Yeah, we'll see. Uh, Latte is saying there's no medal put down at the Olympics for anyone. I guess you're saying that in response to Marie Jose Talou rather. Kevin is saying please put up the semi for the men. You mean the lineup? Yeah. So yeah, we'll get that back up on the screen while I get to some more comments here. And I still have to go, guys, to be honest with you. Zach is saying, being a Kenyan, I agree about our gal, Mary Moore, good tactically. Yeah, she's really good at pacing. And she'll make you run she usually makes you run the pace she wants. And I like that about athletes. Now, the difference now when it comes to this year, I don't know how quick Mary can go. If you assume Keely is definitely in a 154 shape, very low 155, maybe the tactics might not be useful then. That's one of the interesting things. Maswash is saying no, not making the finals. Interesting. That's a big call there. What time is the women's final today? That's gonna be what, 3 something Eastern Standard Time. Yeah, I think we already put the answer to that. It's 3:20 Eastern Standard Time. Evelyn is saying it's going to be tough semifinals, both for men and women. May the best athlete get medals. That's what we want to see. Zach is saying, what's your thoughts on Sydney versus Bowl? Guess it's one for the books. It's going to be a great race there, Zach. I like what Femke did by going sub 51 before the Olympics. Psychologically, it's interesting. I don't know if it's enough to even scare Sydney. Low 50s for both. I could see Femke running 50.4 and losing by 2 meters. Femke losing by 2 meters. It's outrageous. Lots of talk about whether or not somebody can go sub 50. I I, I can't see that. I don't know if that's a ceiling. Yeah, we'll get back to that later in the week. I did it on a couple of reviews the other day, but Sydney versus Femke, just hold your seats. It's going to be 2 races at the Olympics. It's going to be between them. And then 2 seconds later, somebody's going to run a low 52, which will be an all time great time and not even serve up in the picture. That's how I think. Joe, I didn't even want to start with that one. Kishane, Civil, Toboga, that same order. Cool. Talu always runs her best race in the heats. Yeah, usually she does that. You're welcome. Jared is saying I got Noah winning in 967. Again, I always try to tell people there's only 3 men in history that's seen what 9-6 looks like. The great man Tyson Gay, Johan Blake. Think about that. Noah Lyles. Noah Lyles knows Lyles. No 100-meter podium. Interesting. Darwin is saying, I predict Thompson to break Bowles' record and Civil second, Lyles third. So you're thinking somebody's going to go faster than 9:58 tomorrow night. I really love these enthusiastic predictions. I can't even go there. I can't even go there. Yeah. I don't know if people understand what 9:58 is though. I'm not saying you don't, but I would love it. If someone were to pop up and do that, especially him, it would be the greatest thing we've ever seen, but I have no indication that 9:58 is even remotely possible by anybody. We have to see. Yeah. Uh, uh, more comment. Yeah. Sydney might run 48. Come on, no. Come on, no. 48 over hurdles is not possible. That's never going to happen. Yeah. Noah has 10 men that's in better shape than him. He would be lucky to make the finals. I don't know if 10 men are in better shape. That's a bit harsh, but yeah, okay. Noah going to win what? Guys, so many persons watching, almost 5. Be generous, like the live stream. Really appreciate that. Henley, what's going on? Kishane literally jogged 10. He did jog it, you know. Nicole is saying Kishane will win. Joe is saying 9.61 Olympic record for Kishane. Bolt did what? 963 in London, is it? I don't know. Look, I think he should just. I know he won't be thinking about the time, he'll be thinking about the medal, but the gold medal is the most important thing for any athlete, whatever time comes, come. He looks really good. I think he may be on the cusp of doing something that we've not seen in a very long time. That's as much I will say. Conditions need to be correct too, but I don't know. And Robert is saying if Noah runs 967, he will not show up for the 200 meters. His legs cannot manage that. Yeah, I don't. You guys are hilarious here. Everybody's going to run their personal best in the 100-meter finals. Interesting. Maswash says not his bunch of athletes. No one is going under 9.8. Yeah, and decent. I predict 9.74 Thompson. It's possible, very possible. I could see. I mean, when we saw Kishane at the Jamaica Championships, I saw low 9.7s there. How low? Sometimes it's hard to know. We'll find out tomorrow. Guys, I think I got to the bottom of the comments before anybody else hit me with another one. It's been my pleasure. I've been here for a little bit over an hour. I'll be back later on just to do watch along during the evening session. So if you want to pop on for that, I'm not showing the events. Obviously, I'll just watch it and we'll talk. And if you're watching it somewhere and you just want to have camaraderie, this is the place for you. Then we'll come back later on again and do another reaction. It's going to be fire tonight. We hope all the principals make it into the final of the women's 100 meters and we'll get a cracking run. I don't know what will happen, but yeah. People predicting 9.7, people saying Thompson breaking the world record. Adrian is saying that is all. You guys are out there on this. The confidence is high. No, I'm not seeing 9.7 for now. Jared is saying I think 8 guys can go sub 9.8. What? Thank you, Warwick, for saying that. I appreciate that. Winning time 9.78. I can see that. And Head King is also saying 9.59 for Thompson. All right. On that note, I'm out. I'll catch you guys later.